at that point if you have a question that you want to verbalize. But aside from that, we do ask that you keep that muted. And with that, we're going to get started. Okay, so today our agenda is we're going to meet, first of all, the Chatbot team, the folks who put this thing together and who are monitoring it and making sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. Then we're going to have a discussion with them where we learn about the origin of the Chatbot and learn how it works. We're going to see the Chatbot in action. And then at the end, like I said, we are going to have an audience Q&A. So throughout this time, feel free to drop your questions into the chat if you want to type them out. We will visit those at the end. And then again, at the end, there will be additional time if you're more comfortable unmuting and just asking a question directly as well. Okay, so let's meet our team. So I'm going to ask each of our team members to first just introduce themselves, your name, your role here at CTA, and then just super briefly, because we're going to get into this a lot more in detail coming up, if you could just tell us what was your role with the chatbot, either in the development or in the functioning of it right now. So Lucian, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hey everyone, I'm Lucian Lippertz, senior manager here in the innovation department. My role on this project was really about getting it off the ground. And I think that relates to my role at CTA, which is sort of about, trying out new tools, new ways of working that help us really focus on our customers and make sure that all of our customers and our employees are having an awesome experience. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Kate, please introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Kate Kennelly. I'm the general manager for customer service. For this project, I've kind of been helping to provide feedback based on the experience that we have here in customer service, receiving customer feedback through standard channels of phone and email, and kind of help the developers to understand those channels and take what we know to apply to the new system.
Great, thanks, Kate. And Monet.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monet Nunnery. I am the business system analyst in the customer service department. I also helped out with providing feedback on the customer service side, kind of how we analyze the data and how that'll work with the chatbot, and kind of working on that same part on the after launch now.
Great, thank you, Monet. And Will, please introduce yourself.
I'm Will. I'm the manager of external electronic communications, so I take care of the website, Train Tracker, and other various digital communications channels. My role in getting the chatbot developed was integrating it with the website, and now that it's launched, I'm providing technical support.
Okay, thanks so much, Will. And Derek Weathersby was going to join us, and hopefully he still can partway through this, but there's something that came up for him, and so he may not be able to join us, but he was going to join us as the acting general manager in the rail station management department. And so hopefully he can tell us, he can still join us and be able to give us a little bit of information from his side. Okay, we're going to jump right in. So first I want to ask Lucian, tell us, for those who are not yet familiar, what is the chatbot and when did it launch?
Yeah, totally. So the chatbot is basically a new tool for people to report if they see something that doesn't seem right? If they're on the train, on the bus, at a train station, and they feel like there's something going on that they should let CTA know about, whether it's maintenance, cleanliness, other issues, they can use this new chat button that's on our website, answer a couple quick questions, and then that information is sent to the right department at CTA, depending upon the issue, and then someone reviews it and the issue is resolved. So it's just an easy way for folks to interact with us. And it launched in April of 2024, so just a couple months ago.
Great. Okay, and we're going to get, for those of you who may not have seen it yet or are completely unfamiliar at this point, we're going to watch a super quick video brought to us by the communications team. So Will, thanks to you and your colleagues who put this together. And you'll just see on the customer end of somebody inputting an incident, what they see. So we are going to watch that right now.
How to use a CTA chat button to report broken equipment. Let's say the AC isn't working. Click the chat button, click Maintenance, and report the issue. Our Real Service team will receive a message. Depending on the severity, we'll either pull the train from service or schedule a repair for the end of its run. How to use a CTA chatbot.
All right, so there we have it. A seemingly simple tool, but I know that there was a lot of work that went into it, and a lot of people, and a lot of different, certainly lots of meetings and a testing and all kinds of pre-work before it went live. So Lucienne, tell us where did the impetus for the chatbot come from, and what was the business case that was made for it?
Yeah, so in 2022, I think in the first half of 2022, the president's office sort of was really bought into this idea of having another more real-time customer service option for CTA customers. And they spoke with our department at the time and sort of, asked us to really take on this initiative and see where it goes. And so I think our job as this project team was really to turn that energy and that excitement around trying to engage with our customers into something more actionable. And so what we really focused on is, number one, okay, how can we design a tool and a process that allows us to have a lot of insights around the issues that happen, like a lot of rich data. So how can we go, maybe we can start to live in a world where we know for sure, based on 500 different comments, that every day at 1 p.m., the blue line is really dirty, right? And then maybe we can change something. And so that's like one idea that we often spoke about. And then the other thing that we wanted to test out was, is there any way that we can get the information that customers are giving us into the hands of operational personnel a little bit faster and maybe make that information even more accurate, right? Like how can we simplify that game of telephone and make sure that the outcomes are even better than they were before?
Great. So obviously you mentioned the president's office, and we know there had to be lots and lots of folks involved in getting this kind of thing off the ground and then testing, et cetera. So who were some of those stakeholders that you worked with, and how did you work with them throughout the process of developing this tool?
There were probably, I think, two phases of stakeholder engagement. So during the early development of the project, before we launched, there was a lot of work with this team who's on the panel right now, and also more of the executive level of transit operations, infrastructure, and other folks, control center, to sort of figure out, okay, we're going to be trying out this new operational process. Let's identify some key folks that maybe could receive some of these issues and incidents when the chatbot launches. And so we had like a very small group of people at the beginning. And then after the chatbot launched, and we worked much more in depth with some of the folks who started receiving these comments from customers, we kind of expanded the list and worked at a more detailed level with, folks at the manager level, general manager, senior manager level, to really flesh out how these processes were working based on those first couple of weeks of real customer interaction.
And if you could name drop or at least department drop, like who were the different, obviously lots of operations folks, right? So what were some of the departments that you were working with?
Yeah, totally. So in the beginning, for Transit Ops, Sonia Hargrove was a huge help for identifying the right folks in Transit Ops for us to connect with. We worked a lot with Corey Rice from Control Center to talk about technology and their processes over there. When we started working after the launch in depth, we worked a lot with rail maintenance. So Salagia from Blue and Pink Line, it was a huge help in connecting us with that org. Steve Fuentes from Bus Ops, we connected with a bunch of folks at the garages and bus maintenance. And so I mean, there's a very long list, but we've had a lot of great positive experiences with people who have helped us live into this new world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really interesting to just see the scope, right? Like there are so many folks who are involved in getting something like this off the ground because it is a big undertaking and it touches a lot of different departments. So it's cool to hear that, how big this project really is and how many different folks and groups were giving input into, how it's developed and how it will be used. So how long did this project take? What was from, point A, you said early 2022 to getting it off the ground? About how long was it that this project started to when it was actually launched?
Yeah, so the actual work, once we had finalized the procurement strategy, and we got board approval. So board approval happened in September of 2023. Work was able to start in earnest in October of 2023. And then it was, I believe, in March of 2024, so about 6 months later, or 5, 6 months later, we did a beta test where the bot was launched secretly, and some customers interacted with the bot, and then we did that public launch in April of 2024.
Great. Wow, that's great. And then what were some of those steps? So you mentioned like getting board approval. Once you had the approval, what were kind of like the next big milestones over the next 6 months to getting this thing launched?
Yeah, so once we started working, once we got the board approval, we started working with our contractor, which was Google Public Sector. So that's a division of Google that's really focused on working with governments across the country to use technology in new ways. So they sent a couple of their employees to our office here at 567. We had a kickoff meeting with a bunch of different folks, and then we continued to work with that group um, throughout the next 5 to 6 months as we defined the use cases, figured out what we wanted to focus on, and then actually started to have the Google team build out the actual chatbot. And then we worked with Will Anderson, who's on the panel right now, certainly to also work with American Eagle, which is the website vendor, which we'll talk about in a little bit, to make sure that we can actually have the chatbot on CTA's website.
Great, thank you. And so we got this product launched now. What are some of the unique features of it?
Yeah, I think some of the most unique features are that it's very optimized for real-time issues. I think some of our other channels certainly can be used for real-time feedback when you write an email to TTA or you call the phone number, but this truly is designed for a situation where you're on the system, something is happening, and you think someone at CTA should know about it. So I think that space is certainly very unique. And we also are able to get some of these issues into the hands of operational personnel very quickly and right away and with very accurate information. And I think one really cool example is we spoke with rail maintenance maybe a couple months now ago, and they told us how, in the old world where they just received comments through the email channel, the customer information wasn't necessarily super accurate because people were writing emails after they got off the train. People didn't remember to write down the train car they were on. And so someone would say the AC wasn't working, but rail maintenance didn't know, what rail car it was or what line it was. But because the chatbot is in this moment where someone's on the train and the chatbot's asking about what rail car you're in, they're able to identify the train car right away and, pull it from service, right? So I think it's unique in that we're also empowering some of these folks to they were already doing awesome work, but now we're making it easier for them to do their work as well.
Mhm. Great. All right, last question I have for you for the time being. How does the chatbot impact the public perception of CTA in your opinion?
Yeah, so I think one of the big, success metrics for us as like a innovation project sponsor now is really, how can we control more of the public narrative, and show that CTA and help the public recognize all the awesome work that CTA is doing, right? We know certainly that there are people every day who are cleaning our stations, cleaning our vehicles, fixing our vehicles, right? And so what are the steps that we can do to make that work more apparent? And I think this work that we're doing to connect the customer to the incident reporting system of the chatbot to the actual employees doing the work, that whole connection is very seamless and very quick, and so that elevates all that work that's already happening. And I think we've seen certainly evidence of the public being very impressed when they submit an issue to the chatbot and they see someone respond in real time by cleaning the platform or another CTA employee taking a different action, right? And so I think that's really sort of changing how the public perceives our ability to respond in real time and to be customer centric, which I think is very cool.
Cool. All right, thanks so much. And we're going to take a look. We've been talking a little bit about, and a lot about this tool, and saw the short video. Before I introduce my next guest, I just want to show where it lives for those of you who haven't used it yet. And apologies, it looks like the circle on the website is a little off. Technical difficulties, but lower right corner of all pages on the CTA website. So whether you're accessing this from a website or from a mobile device, it's always in the same place. And I was testing it myself, and it's available on every page. So anytime anybody has a question about anything that they might be looking at, they can ask that questions through there and get their answer. So I'm going to turn this over to Will now, and we're going to talk a little bit about how the chatbot relates to CTA's website and how they complement each other, how they work together, how they collaborate. So Will, tell us first to kind of set the stage. What are customers accessing the website for, and how does that connect with what we want the CTA chatbot to be used for?
Yeah, so our customers can access our website for a number of different reasons. We've got static information on there, like schedule information and maps for all of our different routes, fare information about how to use the Ventra app, and also real-time information like train arrivals and disruption alerts and stuff like that. And the chatbot actually is another channel to offer a lot of that same information, depending on the way what people ask and the way people ask it. They can get a lot of that same information in a sort of more back and forth chat interface type way.
Great. And as we were preparing for this, for the chatbot to be integrated into CTA's website, were there any changes or updates that needed to be made to the current website as it was structured in order to enable this, this new tool to be added?
Yeah, so it's been sort of a two-step process. In the lead up to the launch of the chatbot, all the work was purely additive. We had the existing website, and we integrated the chatbot on top of it, both in terms of actually, adding the button to the website itself, and also making the chatbot speak to our website's backend to get information about arrivals and alerts, and stuff like that. Interestingly, after the launch, now that the chatbot has been up and running a while, the relationship has become a little bit more bi-directional. So the questions that we're seeing the chatbot answer, the way we see customers using the chatbot is beginning to influence how we structure the website. So we see people ask a lot of fare-related questions. We see people ask a lot of lost and found questions, a lot of when's the next bus, when's the next train, and all of that has us thinking about how we can better pave those paths on the website so that people can get that information easily, no matter what channel they come to us from.
So tell us a little bit about how the chatbot actually speaks to the website to get its information. And once somebody enters in the, perhaps reporting that there's garbage on the platform, how do they get it to the next, elevated to the next person or the next system?
Yeah, so the chatbot looks like a really simple interface on the surface. It looks like you're just, texting, SMS messaging with somebody, but in fact, we built a lot of transit smarts into the chatbot on the back end. It speaks to our website APIs, which is application programming interface. So the same data feeds that we provide to all the trip planner apps like Google Maps, Apple Maps, Ventra, the chatbot speaks those languages too. And so it can get live arrival information for buses and for trains. It can get live alert information, and it has all that information that it is getting from the website behind the scenes. As far as actually communicating with staff members, we are sending highly structured emails behind the scenes, both to customer service, to Kate's team, and to folks in the control center and in the field, where we take the information that we've gotten from the chat and we've broken it down into individual fields, highly structured, so that people can see at a glance what's going on.
And then who are the people who are actually, doing all the coding and the work on the back end to make sure these systems are running smoothly?
Yeah, we've got sort of a web of teams working on this. Google public sector is still involved to a certain extent. We are working mostly with the subcontractor, Quantify, who's doing feature development and maintenance for us month to month now and doing an excellent job with it. And then we're working with our longtime website vendor, American Eagle, for any places where the chatbot touches transitchicago.com.
So lots of different folks involved.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much, Will, for sharing a little bit about the connection between the chatbot and the website. Now I want to shift us over to our panelists who are from our customer service team. So Kate and Monet are going to tell us a little bit about how the chatbot supports and complements CTA's customer service ecosystem. So I'm going to ask the first question for you all. So how does the chatbot fit into the customer service department's operations? And were there any unexpected challenges that you all had to address with the implementation of this chatbot?
Sure. So the new channel kind of fits right into our current customer service department, and it hasn't been a huge adjustment. It does allow us to kind of meet customers in the space that they choose, offering like a self-serve option so that they can get that information directly to the people who can address it faster. Majority of the feedback that we get comes directly to the department that needs to address it. But there are some topics that are filtered through our feedback group here in customer service. So mostly these are things that are very straightforward, but sometimes challenging when customers provide limited information.
And what kind of requests are you getting through the chatbot? And are they different in any ways from the requests that you got before through email or phone?
So we pretty much get the same issues reported to us through the chatbot that we get via phone and email. But certain topics are certainly more popular in the chatbot than other channels. Smoking on the train, for example, is a really popular category in the chatbot. We get a lot of those reports. We also tend to see reports about service issues as well as cleanliness and other maintenance type issues.
Got it. And then are there things that folks are using the chatbot for that aren't necessarily in your wheelhouse, like things with Ventra, or are they asking questions about RTA? And then how are you routing those, or how are you dealing with those once they do come in?
So yeah, Ventra is a topic that we've been discussing recently. When the chatbot first rolled out, we had a number of Ventra-related topics in our frequently asked questions section. But unfortunately, due to some limitations with the way that the FAQ was configured, where customers weren't able to find that information when they needed it, we had to retire that FAQ section. So now we're looking at some options to add some of that information back into the chatbot in a more accessible way. But for the time being, if someone does ask a question that's not in our current prompts that we have, they'll just be directed to our website or also directed to call or email us directly. And then someone in the customer service team can direct them to the right place, whether that be for Ventra or RTA travel information or the city of Chicago.
Okay, great, thanks. And what kind of feedback have you all received or seen from the public about this tool and being able to use it to report customer service issues in a new way?
I kind of expected more feedback than we've had. We haven't had a ton of direct feedback from the public. We've had a few reports here and there from individuals that didn't see their issue immediately resolved or had some difficulty with the chatbot understanding them. One measure we are looking at regularly is an end of chat satisfaction rating. This is a question that's asked at the end of the conversation. And overall, since launch, about 58% of customers that answer the question gave the chatbot a positive rating. And this has actually been improving every month. So far this month, we are up to 70% for the month of August.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, to think that 70% of people are pleased with the response they're receiving. It seems, and the fact that it's grown, that's really exciting to see that it's people are pleased with it and it's working. All right, well, thanks, Monet and Kate. I'm gonna check my attendees right now just to see if Derek has been able to join us, or I'm gonna call on my colleague Gabby to see if you have seen him join us yet.
Hey, Lindsay, he has not been able to join.
Okay, no worries. So we're going to skip through that rail station management portion. Although I'll say really briefly, in having discussions with the team leading up to today, one of the things that they've just emphasized is the speed at which folks have been able to address the issues now on the rail station management team. The quickness with which they've been able to respond to these. He, I think, mentioned being able to respond to something within 10 minutes now, which is huge. Whereas he mentioned that some requests that came in through email or by phone, just depending on the nature of the call, could at times take 1 or 2 days to respond to. So, just thinking about that, like condensing something that might have taken 24 hours into now it taking 10 minutes, really emphasizes just the advantage of this tool and what it's already doing for our folks on the scenes and the way it's, just addressing the customer needs as they're seeing them on our system. So hopefully he is still able to join us, but if not, that's okay, but we will come back to him if he is. So I'm gonna move us forward on my agenda, on my side. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit now about how we've been doing and what the plan is moving forward. So I want to come back to Kate and Monet and ask the both of you, how do you measure success for the chatbot on your customer service side?
Sure. So from our perspective in customer service, I think success really means that we're getting more insight into what customers are experiencing and getting that information more quickly. So it frees our staff up to focus on the more complex things and allowing the chatbot to handle the routine reports that we've talked about today. So today, what we're really measuring is the number and type of chats and the number of issues that are escalated and how that changes over time. So we expect that these numbers will increase over time with marketing efforts and also as users just decide to try out the chatbot option. But over time, we do hope to see some of these certain types start to decrease. And hopefully customers will experience the issues less often because we're rectifying them more quickly.
Yeah, and I'm sharing on the screen right now some of the stats that Lucian provided about just the number of conversations that have been had since this product launch, and how many had all the details they needed, and how many resulted in the incidents being reviewed by the CTA staff. So Lucian, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add to this slide aside from emphasizing this is a lot.
Yeah, and I think this is a really good segue to this question about, what's next for this project and what the spinoffs are. So we can see here, 3,000 incidents, that's a lot of emails being sent to CTA and a lot of folks reviewing what's going on. And we spent about like the first 6 weeks after the launch interviewing folks from our different operational departments and asking them, how are things going? And I think what was really interesting in those interviews is that, we heard some people say, hey, it'd be awesome. Like the only thing I want is that if instead of sending me an email about this incident, you could put it in our SharePoint that we use. Some people said, no, actually, we don't want SharePoint. We want you to put it in MIMS, which is our maintenance, record system. And then other folks were like, oh, what if, we had a person at the control center who was the customer service person triaging all these issues, right? And so there were so many ideas shared with us. And so what we're going to do is for sure hire a consultant to spend the time and interview all of our CTA departments and, ask them, okay, how are things going? What are your processes like? Do you have any ideas, right? And so that we can really have an informed opinion on, okay, if we want to live even more in this world of real-time incident response through customer service, maybe we need to redesign these 3 processes and we need to buy these 2 tools, right? And so like, what are those things that we need to do? And how can we answer those questions based on the expertise of all the people who are living and breathing these incidents every day?
Okay. Yeah, and I wanted to throw that out to the I guess back to you again, Lucian, but anybody else who may be able to comment as well. So I'm curious about what's up next for Chatbot. You know, what are we? Is it something that we're constantly evaluating? Are we looking at things again in a few months? You know, to see if new responses need to be added, or something needs to change. So what does kind of the next phase of Chatbot look like, or what's on the horizon for it?
Like, oh, go ahead, Kate.
Oh, I was just gonna say that, in the short term, Will and Monet and I are really continually looking for ways to improve the current iteration of the chatbot. So one thing, we're looking at pretty near future is to add a conversation for lost and found, to make it easier for people to get to that, and also to make it easier for people to find those frequently asked questions related to Ventra and fares. And also to report elevators and escalators, which we've noted is kind of a challenging right now. So those are some of the small little changes that we're kind of planning over the next several weeks.
Great. Small changes, but that will have a big impact for people who are wondering those things, right?
One thing that's pretty cool too is so for folks who are on the call, CTA runs a really robust market research program where we continuously survey our customers and ask them about CTA service. And you can find a lot of the survey results on CTA's website. But we partnered with that group on some new stickers that are going to start appearing on our transit system. So over the next couple of weeks, on the Pink Line trains at Pink Line stations and at bus routes out of the 77th garage, folks who board those vehicles or visit those stations, they will be able to see new stickers that solicit feedback from our customers, and that will, once they scan the QR code, they'll either be able to do a new type of survey, which is like a little rate my ride survey, which is very cool, or they'll be able to report something via the chatbot. And so I think that's also just another way where we're trying to lean into new ways of interacting with our customers and also collaborate across the agency.
Great. And are those are sounds like the kind of the guinea pigs of this project, and then hopefully if it goes well, it'll roll out to the other routes and garages and stations.
Yeah, exactly. We wanted to start small because just like with the chatbot, we've never really lived in this world. And so we do a couple steps here and then we learn and then we take a couple more steps.
Great. All right. I think that concludes all the questions that I had planned to ask the group today. And I want to go to Gabby and ask whether anything has come in on your end through the chat that you've seen.
I do not see anything in the chat just yet, but just
Okay.
want to encourage everyone here, if you do have questions or curiosities, please drop them there.
Okay, great. Yeah. And if anybody does have a question, you can also feel free to either raise your hand or unmute yourself at this point if you want to ask a question to the group. While you're thinking about that, I have a couple others that we did get sent in from. Oh, I think I see one coming in. What are the most common problems reported by the bot?
Yeah, so I think the biggest issue that we see most consistently is smoking on the train. That's a very popular one in the bot. We got a lot of reports of that. I think also service-related issues, customers looking for the next bus or train comes in a lot. And then like cleanliness and maintenance issues are also kind of right behind those two.
Great. Thank you, Kate. All right, any other questions from our audience members? One question that I also thought of while we were speaking was who is determining like the kind of the pre-recorded but like the selection of responses that are filtered when somebody does put a request in the chat box, so it takes you to the next question and then the next question. Like how are those things decided?
Well, it's a large part of the work that Kate and Monet and I are doing month to month, working with Quantify. Of course, Lucian was instrumental in setting up all the initial versions of that, and we're sort of iterating on the ones that we launched with. But those flows where people go from topic to subtopic to subtopic are ones that we are revising every month as we see how the chatbot gets used.
All right, thanks, Will. A couple other questions that folks did submit through the registration. So one was, will the chatbot provide real-time rail delay and restored service time estimates?
It will, the chatbot will provide not restoration time estimates, but it will provide arrival predictions, and it will provide disruption alert information. It's the same information that you would get if you go to transitchicago.com/train-tracker or transitchicago.com/alerts, because it's pulling information from the website APIs that power those same pages. So it's a different and often faster way to get at that same information.
Great. And then one of the other questions that came in was, are there plans to allow image uploads that can help more accurately pinpoint defects?
I wouldn't call it a plan, but it's certainly an idea. It's something that we've talked about and are sort of specking out with our partners at Quantify to see what that would look like.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, great. And then the other question that we had gotten in the registration was one that actually Lucian has already addressed, but we're asking about whether we can add QR codes to the backs of seats in different places on the vehicles, so people can access that information or access that tool even faster. So it sounds like the answer is yes, it's in progress, or correct me if I'm wrong though. All right, great. So any other questions from our audience? I think that covers most of what we had planned for today. So I do want to give each of my panelists an opportunity to say anything else that we might have missed, or anything that, as we were talking, you're like, oh, I forgot to mention this, or I think this is really interesting. So any final thoughts from our panelists as we're kind of winding down here? Okay, well,
I was just going to say, I would encourage all of you all to use the chatbot as you ride the system too, and let us know what your experience is like. It's always interesting to get the perspective of somebody who's new to the chatbot but is already expert in the system. So your thoughts are very valuable.
Mm-hmm. One other question that I also just thought of as you're speaking, as I was playing around with it myself, I was kind of testing it. In order for a request or a report to reach you all, do they have to go through certain steps? Is it every comment that is input, is it searching for keywords and then it elevates it? So how do I make sure my question gets elevated, or my inquiry gets elevated to the place it needs to go?
So we were describing before about how different flows lead to different places, the topic and the subtopic, subtopic, right? And some of those flows lead to directly to people in the control center or to people in the field. Some of those lead to the sort of feedback flow that is run by customer service, and some of them are just sort of automatic and taken care of by the chatbot itself. When you reach the end of a flow that where the chatbot thinks it's taking care of a question or a concern by itself, it'll always ask you, is there anything else that I can help you with? So you have a chance to circle back and choose something different.
Got it. All right, thank you. Well, if we don't have anything else in the chat or no other questions from our audience, I'm going to go ahead and move us forward. I want to thank everybody for attending us today. And I'm also going to have my colleague Gabby, she's going to drop a survey link into the chat. We'd love to hear your feedback on this session and hear suggestions for new topics for the future. So if you could please just take a few moments, it takes less than 30 seconds. Let us know how we did and what you want to see in the future. I also want to thank our panelists. So thank you to Lucian, to Will, to Kate, to Monet, Thank you to Derek for being available before, and we're certainly sorry to miss him. But thank you to everybody for the time you took. And thank you for all the work that you've done to put this thing together and to keep it going and for serving our customers and our authorities so well in that work. Thanks to our attendees who are here and who tuned in. Hopefully you've learned something new, and hopefully you now know what to do if you see something that needs to be reported. And I just want to take a few moments to let you know what's coming up. My employee engagement team, our HR employee engagement team, we're doing a lot of programming over the next couple months, as we've done throughout the summer and throughout the year so far. So I want to give you a heads up on what is coming up over the next few months. September, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a busy month, as they all seem to be. So our next session of Behind the Scenes is going to be on Wednesday, September 18th, and that is going to be with our Redline Extension team. We're going to get updates and hear about what's going on with the Redline Extension from the folks who are working with it most closely. And then some other events that we have going on, certainly the Jamboree. Do not miss the Transit Jamboree happening Saturday, September 7th at Skokie Shops. Lots of teams are involved around the authority, and it's going to be a great opportunity for you to just have a great time with your friends, with your family, with your colleagues, get some food, and just, yeah, enjoy some time together, play some games, do all kinds of fun stuff. So again, that's September 7th. Our Women's Employee Resource Group, we at CTA, they are going to have their Q3 meeting on Tuesday, September 17th. And finally, our team is planning to host a Hispanic Heritage Month game night on, let's see, October 15th. So all details about all of these things will be coming to you through email, but just wanted to put in a plug right now so you know what to look for in the future. But thank you again, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. And we hope to see you next month at our next Behind the Scenes.